to do the overhead lift. I have Brad here. It's a spinal cord injury. I'm going to bring his arm over and I'm going to help him roll to the side so I can put the split sling with the loops underneath him. All right, are you ready? We're going to roll. So I've already rolled the one side. I'm going to pull it underneath of him. I want to make sure that the top of the sling is between the apex of his head on up to make sure it supports his neck. I'm going to make sure that this handle is going to translate to be in the middle of his back. I'm going to tuck that under. Okay, are you ready, Brad? We're going to roll over. Bring this leg down. Bring this leg up. Okay, put this arm down. Bring this one across. Okay, we're going to roll away from it now. And then I can unroll it from this side. All right, and then go ahead and roll back. Pull this leg sling here. Here. And I always like to double check that it's in the middle. Bring this around, unhook it from the charger, turn it on, and I'm going to lower the sling, the lift down. As it's lowering, I notice that I'm going to have to really pull the lift towards Brad's head. So to make my life easier, I'm going to unlock the bed and move it down about 6 to 12 inches. And then relock the bed. Moving it away from the wall and closer to the straps will just make it easier for me in the long run. The remote is magnetic, so once I get it where I want it to be, I'm going to put that there. I never want to struggle the lift, so I have the lift long and short enough closest to the patient so it doesn't hit him, but I don't have to struggle. I'm putting the straps so that they are the closest to the patient. Since this is a single point, I do not need to worry about crisscrossing the legs, but I am going to go down one loop so it'll help Brad sit up in his power chair over there. Okay. All right, Brad, keep your arms in if you can, to the best of your ability. We're going to go ahead and come up. I'm going to be here near his head to make sure that the lift holds onto his neck so it doesn't fall off. And we're going to come across. Once I feel he is stable, I'm going to walk around to be on the other side of him. I'll lower I only need to lift him as high so I'm not going to hit anything, so I move the bed rail. I'm going to flip back his power wheelchair armrest. Slide him across. And then I've pre-tilted the power chair to make sure it was at the same angle as I expect Brad to be in as we come down. And every time I lower it, I'm just moving his legs. This here just to protect you on the other side. Okay. And then as he comes down lower, I'm going to kind of push his knees just to ensure that his bottom's all the way back. But by having that chair pre-tilted, the power chair, it will make it a little bit easier. Once I get close to his head and he is safe, I'm going to pull the lift away from his head so I don't hit it. If I had a patient who's able to lift their arms up and protect their head, I encourage them to do so. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, undo all of the loops. I just need to slide this out of my way. To get the sling out from underneath Brad, I'm going to lift up his leg to pull that out. And then I'm going to use the chair to help me. So I'm going to turn on the chair and I'm going to tilt Brad forward so I can pull the sling out from underneath him. So I'm not pulling him against gravity. And it's also a good opportunity for me to check to make sure he is all the way back in his chair and he needs a little bit of a boost. So I'm going to use my knees to boost him that 1/2 inch. I can also tilt him back all the way in the chair and move him that 1/2 inch. All right. All right, we're going to put Brad back to bed using the overhead lift and using this sling. So I have his chair tilted forward, so I'm going to lean him forward so that I can put him over my hip. I'm going to tuck this sling underneath his bottom as far as I can get. I'm going to make sure the sling is in the middle of his back. I'm going to pull him back up. Okay? All right, and again, to make my life a little bit easier, I'm going to go ahead and tilt his chair back so I don't have to worry about him losing his balance. While I set everything else up. Be sure when you're using these chairs that you turn them off during all lifting and lowering of the patient. Get the sling underneath him. All right, you can bring this around. And again, I'm going to hook up to closest to the patient. Since I'm going back to lying down, I can again, I'm going to go to closest to the patient so they're all even. There's nothing wrong with going to the next loop if it's easier for you to remember that. But I don't need to worry about him sitting up more since we're lying. All right, all hooked up. Okay, are you ready? Slowly lift him. Once I know his head is clear of the cassette, I'm going to go ahead and move this armrest out of my way. I already have the bed rail lowered. Grab the cushion cover with you. I'm going to pull him away from the chair and over. I want to make sure when I'm using these lifts that his bottom's going to land where I want him to land. And his head is high enough in the bed. So with these tracks, sometimes, again, you have to move the bed away from the wall. That will keep you from having to boost the patient later on. So as he lowers, I'm going to straighten out his legs, make it more comfortable. Falling off that sling here. Alright. As the straps start loosening, I can lower or remove him. Get this out of the way. Be sure to turn that off and charge it. I'm going to pull this out from each leg. All right, Brad, I'm going to roll you towards me. Tucking the sling underneath him as much as I can. Then I won't need to roll them quite as much when it's time to pull it out on the other side. Okay, we're going to roll away. Okay? There you go.
Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to use a tenor lift. My patient Hannah here has had a brain injury. She has impairment in all 4 extremities. First thing I'm going to do before I put the lift sling underneath her is I'm going to actually raise the bed so I'm not bending over during that time. And I'm raising the bed just straight up. I'm aiming for the top of the sling to hit right at the base of her skull. I'm going to roll up one side, roll her to one side, tuck it under, and then do the other side. And I'm going to roll you over to one side. I'm going to move your arms a little bit. Okay, good. Roll you over. Sometimes I try to size it up by putting it like this also to make sure we're good. And I'm going to roll you back onto your back. And go to your other side, Hannah. Yeah, can you try to bend this leg up? Okay, try to roll this way. Good. All right, come on back. And bring the leg sling up between her legs, high up on the thigh. Can you try to bend that one? Thank you. Okay, you're doing great, Hannah. Turn on the lift by the green button. It will look like it's not on until you press a little bit of a button, and then you will see the indicator of the battery life. It will stop. It tells me the battery's full. I'm safe to use this. I'm going to center this over Hannah in the center. I'm a little worried that that's a little too far down as I bring it over to her, so I'm just going to raise the lift up a little bit before I get close to her, just so I don't hit her. I'm going to center it over her body. The wide part of this lift goes over the trunk. The narrow part goes over the legs. It is also marked. So now I am going to lower it to make it easier. If I want Hannah in the most seated up position, I'm going to bring the loops closest to the lift up at the top. You always want to make sure you have an equal loop on each side as well, or it will be lopsided when I go to put her up. So I've got that all set. When you do the legs must be crisscrossed on this lift. If you do not crisscross them, her legs will be open. She could technically slide out of the lift. I'm going to use the loop farthest away from the patient for the legs. Again, I'm crisscrossing. Okay. She is ready. I'm going to lift her up. When you go to lift her up, you must always hold the back of her head and skull until she's pretty much sitting up and the sling is holding her head up. I'm going to use the remote so I'm closer to her. Hannah, I'm going to begin to raise you up. I got your head. You can just relax. You always want to ask them to keep their hands in. I didn't believe Hannah would grab, but if you had a patient you thought might grab this, if you see, they would lift their arms up as we lift her up. Okay, you doing okay, Hannah? I'm going to lift her up just until her bottom clears the bed. I'll lower the bed rail. As I back her out, I'm going to open up the legs of the lift after I back her out. Turn her. Once I'm here, I'm going to open up the legs so I can get around the wheelchair. Plus it makes the lift safer because it's a wider base of support. When I bring her up to the chair, I am going to swing away the leg rests so they are not in my way as I bring her into the chair. As I lower Hannah into the chair, I'm going to be pushing on her trunk and knees to actually push the chair back. Sorry, Hannah, you have to hang in here a little bit. I'm going to actually try to get the chair to tip backwards so I can get her bottom all the way back in the chair. I'm going to watch where her feet are. I'm going to watch where her trunk is. I'm going to use the remote. I'm going to lower her a little bit without. And I'm pushing her back, pushing forcefully at her trunk. I'm using my good body mechanics to push her. The chair tips back, the chair will not fall until her trunk gets in. And I'm going to ease off. I'm going to watch her head here. Okay, just relax. Chair. I'm going to take the lift off. And I'll be right back. I'm just going to move the lift out of the way. And I have to take the sling out. You should not be sitting in it, okay? So I'm going to lift. The chair did unlock, but we were okay. Pull that out as far as I can. Let me get that leg up. Okay. My leg rests keep unlocking my chair, so I'm going to just take them off. I'm going to block her. Hannah, I'm going to bend you forward so I can get the lift out. Leg up here. Real life wheelchair for the video. Just try to relax. There you go. Alright. Thank you, Hannah. For our video, now I'm going to put you back to bed. Okay. I need to put the sling in. I'm going to bend her forward. I'm going to tuck under. Get the sling around her. And I usually kind of measure the head. I'm going to lean her back and then I'm going to come from behind and tuck under a little bit more as well. I'm confident. I know Hannah, so I know she's not going to fall out. You lean forward for me, Hannah. And I'm going to take your legs off the leg rests. Good. I may have to lean her a little bit to the side to get this underneath her. I'm going to pull her leg up. Grab from the inside as well. Okay, kind of lean over this way a little bit. Okay. All right, Hannah. Just relax for a minute. I'm going to get the lift. Okay. When I hook up the loops this time, they're going to be equal as far as the loop I put them on. They're all going to be farthest away from the patient. It doesn't matter if you do all closest to the patient or farther away, I'm just gonna do them all equally. Again, we're crisscrossing the legs. Make sure the lift is on, which it is. Okay. And keep your arms in your lap, I'm gonna raise you up. Go up until she clears the chair. Watch your feet close by the apart. Back her away from the chair. I'm going to narrow the lift because I know the legs don't fit under the bed very well. Wide. I'm going to raise her up higher, because I realize I'm not going to clear the bed. I'm trying to use my legs as much as possible for everything. I'm really not even using my arms as much. Using my legs to push her. Being dramatic on purpose. When I get here, I need to turn her over the bed. I want to center her so that when her head comes down, she will be at the top of the bed. I don't want to have put her here, so then I have to scoot her up in the bed when I get up here. I also want to make sure she comes down in the middle. I'm going to go down, Hannah. She can't extend her legs, which Hannah cannot. So I'm going to come down and try to extend them for her. That's not all the way down. I'm going to bring you down a little more. Fix the pillow here for you. There we go. Is that better? Now I'm going to try to bend your legs and have you roll again. Roll over to the left side. Roll the lift pad underneath her. Push as far in as I can. I'm going to bring you back to the center. And I'm going to come to your other side and roll you. Bend this one up a little bit. I'm going to try to reach the other side. Far enough. Yep. Get this one out. Thank you, Hannah. I'm going to demonstrate how to use the MaxiMove Lift. Around here it's often called the clip lift or the purple lift. The reason it's called the clip lift is because the actual pad has clips on it. So you will need a different pad than all the other lifts in the hospital. You need the pad with the clips. I'm going to demonstrate rolling her side to side to put the lift pad underneath. I'm going to raise the bed so I'm not hurting my back. Hannah, I'm going to raise the bed straight up in the air. You're not moving at all, just the bed. I'm going to roll up one side. I'm going to roll her side to side and then unroll it. Ideally, I want to get the lift pad so that the back of the top of it hits just on the lower part of her skull. Okay, Hannah, I'm going to have you roll over. I'm going to bend your knees up. Roll over. Sometimes I also just make sure it's going to fit her here. Okay, Hannah, I'm going to roll you back. Good. Nice. Okay, I'm going to come to the other side, Hannah. I'm going to leave your legs bent. It's okay. Okay. Hannah, we're going to roll to the other side. Okay, Hannah, we're going to roll. Before I bring her legs down, I'm going to bring the leg underneath. I'm going to turn the lift on by the green button. It will not look like it's turned on until you hit a little bit of a button, then it will activate the battery. I can see that the battery is full. I'm going to raise the lift up because I cannot bring it over her right now. Lift up here. I can also press here if I want to. I tend to always use the remote though, so I'm going to keep using the remote. I'm going to bring the lift underneath her. I'm going to try to center it under the bed. We have to turn it. This is the leg part. This is the trunk part. The wider part is the trunk. It's also labeled. I'm going to center it over her. I'm going to lower it down. This lift has clips, so it doesn't matter. You don't have a sling loop like we did on the other lifts that you see on videos. It's a clip. It's got a wide part and a small part. You're going to put on the wide part and then clip it down into the narrow part. This is a center-based lift, so I do not have to crisscross the straps. The other nice feature of this lift is this lift actually tilts to a laying down position and a sitting up position. So it is in a sitting up position now. I'm going to turn it to the laying down position. I'm going to lower it again. Lower it a little bit more. And make sure it doesn't hit her pelvis though. As I'm lifting her up, I'm going to hold her head and neck until she is sitting up high enough for the sling to be supporting her head and neck. Go straight up, Hannah. Keep your arms in. Hannah is keeping her arms in. If you ever have a patient that wants to reach up to the lift, you would ask them to put their hands in, because if not, their arms will go straight up. Okay. At this point, since this lift has that feature where you can put her in a sitting up motion, I'm going to put her in the tilt sit up. Raise her up a little bit more. Her head is adequately supported by the sling now, so I don't have to worry about it. back her off the bed. We'll come in, have to move her legs. Turn her now. Bring her over to the wheelchair. I'm going to widen the legs so I can get around the wheelchair. It also makes the lift safer if they're in a wide position when you're moving long distances. I'm going to bring her up to the chair. The leg rests are in the way, so I'm going to take the leg rests off the chair. They don't look like they're in the way for her, but they're going to be in the way for me to make sure that she gets back in the chair. As I lower Hannah into the chair, I'm going to be pushing her bottom against the back of the chair. The chair will actually tilt backwards. I'm going to lower her first until her feet get past the seat of the chair. And I'm going to come in and use my good body mechanics. I'm going to push her back. The chair will tilt as she goes down. She's all the way back. I'm going to tilt this up a little bit, back. I was afraid that was going to hit her pelvis a little bit. She's in the chair. I'm going to take the sling out. First, I'm going to take it out from underneath her legs. I'm going to block her legs. I'm going to bring her trunk forward. And I'm going to pull it out.
Are you tired?
Try to relax. Good. I'll put this on your lap just for a second, Hannah. Okay, now I'm going to put Hannah back to bed. I'm going to put the sling back underneath her. I am going to start off bending her trunk forward, then I will get the legs off since she has a lot of tone. So I'm just going to start off getting it kind of tucked in, but not completely. I want to center it. I will be back to do that some more. She has a lot of tone in her legs, so I'm going to get that in there first. I'm going to completely block her knees while I bend her trunk forward. Bring the sling around as much as I can on either side. I might have to rock her side to side for this. I'm going to bring you back, Hannah. Pull this underneath each leg. And I don't feel like I have this underneath her enough, so I'm going to bring her to the side a little bit more. The entire time I'm doing any of this, I'm blocking her knees completely so she doesn't move. I'm going to get the lift. I'm going to turn it on. clips again. Do the leg clips. Again, I do not have to crisscross. It's a center base lift. I can't really reach this now, so I'm going to tilt the MaxiMove to that laying down position a little bit. Now I can lower it. If I would have lowered it without tilting, this would have hit her thighs. Move my leg rest out of the way so I don't trip. Right hand, I'm going to lift you straight up. Okay, I'm going to move you now. I'm going to close the angle of the legs now. I'm going to close the angle of the legs now. I'm going to bring her under the center of the bed. I'm going to try to align Hannah so that I do not have to move her after I lay her in bed. And I'm going to move your legs here. I have to wait till I can go a little closer here. I want to try to center her in the center of the bed as well as the front and back of the bed. And we're going to go down. I'm going to lay her in the laying back position. I'm going to lower her down. Her legs may not extend. Some patients do, some patients don't. Hannah is not because she's got a lot of tone. So I'm going to come down here and help lower that. And I want to watch very closely so I'm not hitting her with the lift. I'm going to tilt her a little bit. I'm going to raise up a little bit and then just tilt this a little bit so that I can lower it down and get an easier take off of these clips. I felt there was a lot of tension on the clips if I did not do that. I'm going to raise it up to get it to clear her before I clear this. I'll turn it off. Okay, Hannah, I'm going to roll you side to side to get this sling out. Okay, that's what I got. Okay, I'm going to roll. Hannah, I'm coming to your other side to roll you back. Let's roll onto your back, and then I'm going to roll you over again. Great. Okay. Let's come back to the center. All right. Thank you, Hannah.
Next, I'm going to show you the hydraulic lift. So we use the same sling with the loops. This is Brad here. He has a spinal cord injury. He is going home with his family until he'll be using the hydraulic lift. Okay, Brad, we're going to roll actually towards me first. Roll you to your side. I'm going to put the sling towards the apex of his head and the top, and I'm going to roll it and tuck it underneath of him. Making sure this strap is going to hit him in the middle of the back. And roll you back. Roll you to your other side. Pull this back, okay. Lay down. And I always like to make sure that this is nice and even for my patient so that I know that they'll won't slide to one side or the other. Bring the leg straps underneath our legs. And grab the hydraulic lift. It's best to open and close the legs outside of the bed so that it will fit around the breaks of the bed. And close the valve so I can pump it up. While I'm pumping, I'm going to go ahead and move the bed rail to get it out of my way. So the straps, I'm going to again bring them to closest to the patient. If I'm struggling, then I can just lower the lift down just a little bit. The key is you want to make sure that you stop it first so that you don't hit your patient. Then because it's two separate points, I do want to crisscross the legs. All right, are you ready, Brad? I'm going to ensure that the valve is closed, and I'm going to pump him up. I'm going to be next to his head to make sure that it is protected. And if I need to, I can always pull the sling underneath his head if it's rolled under. I only need to raise him up high enough to clear the bed and high enough to clear the wheelchair. The boom, as you can see, only goes so high. Let's pull this strap out. I'm going to go ahead and swing his legs around. Pull him away from the bed. And then I'm going to swing his legs so he straddles the center post. So I pre-tilted the power chair just a little bit, and I need to lift up the foot plates so that I can get the lift as close to him as I possibly can into the chair. All right, once I have him here, I am going to lower the valve, or lower the patient by opening the valve, and I'm going to also push his knee at the same time. The key is I only want to open it up a little bit so I have the most control over the patient. I'm going to let that slowly come down. As you can see, the lift is moving forward for the weight shift, and that is okay. I can slowly open it more now that more of his weight is in the chair. Go ahead and close it so it doesn't hit him. I'll open it up just a little bit more. While that's occurring, I can put his feet on the foot plates. All right. And just hook him. Move this out of the way. I'm going to close it for storage. And I can pull this out from underneath him. Let me move this arm. I'm going to tilt the chair forward. It is more difficult to use the hydraulic lift, but this is what patients' families get. So we'll have to help them problem solve these things. So we're going to lean him forward. And pull this out. And then I can scoot his bottom back in the chair for positioning. Or I can also use the power chair features to tilt his chair all the way back. All right, now I'm going to put Brad back to bed using the hydraulic lift. I'm gonna lean him forward. So I can tuck this sling underneath him as far as I can. Over his head. Bring him back. Under each leg here. Alright, I'm going to open the legs here. Look up the trunk. And of course, I need to crisscross the legs. I'm going to lower this down a little bit. Since I'm going back to bed, I'm going to try to get both sides as close to the patient, the loops. I'll raise that up. Next to you just in case. Away from the chair. Bring him back around. All right, Brad, I'm going to turn you around. Just take a little break here. All right, I'm going to pump you up the rest of the way. Right where the boom ends. Pick up your feet, put them here, and make sure that's where I want you to land. It is. So I'm going to slowly lower him down and close it so I can keep stretching out his legs. I'm just opening and closing the valve to make it nice and safe for him. And come here towards his head to make sure it's nice and controlled. Since the legs are looser, I'm going to go ahead and remove those. This will allow the lift to kind of let go a little bit. Let me close that. Alright, I'm going to have to lift your head just a little bit. Move this out of the way for storage purposes. Close those legs. All right. All right, Brad. Let's move this way. Roll towards me. Get that nice and tucked under. The more I tuck, the less I have to pull out on the other side. And reach across. All right. That's hydraulic lift.